Today, our guest speaker, he's no stranger to us. Some of you folks are new on the call. I want to say thank you all. But let me give you an idea. From Southern California, was a retired actor, bartender. He's one of the ACN trainers to go to. He's a Circle of Champions member. He's also an influencer. Without further ado, the great Mr. Dean Taurasi.
So you guys, I'm in a mood, man. So we're gonna have some fun today. So by the way, I heard Mr. Thomas going over this trip he had set up for you guys. Like, who does that? Like, I hope you guys are working towards that, because man, that actually, I was fired up before he started talking about that. So you guys, I hope you've gotten some stuff out of our time together in October. And I know we have today and next Thursday. And you know why Al Thomas can do things like this trip? Because he treats this business differently than the overwhelming majority of people that ever get involved in network marketing or in ACN. So I want to just start with this, and it wasn't even in my notes for today. And here they are. I show them to you guys every week. So, but the reason, by the way, you guys, would you love your business to be at a point one day where you're having a contest that people are trying to qualify because of their production and you're covering everything? Would you love that to be the case for you? You're the one sponsoring the trip. You're the one having the contest. You're the one inviting the leaders. How great. So it's funny because I asked this of people a lot. If you had a choice to be a person getting the check or writing the check, which would you want to be? You want to be the person writing the check. Come on. And that's what so much of what this is about. Like, you guys, look, for the decade and a half we've all been together on these calls, you know that you get paid for doing two things. You get paid to get customers, and you get paid to get team members who get customers. That's it. That's the only thing that pays you. Everything else in ACN is about preparing you, educating you, toughening you up to be able to do those things. You know, I saw this clip going around. Of Eric Worre talking about, network marketing. And I'm sure maybe you guys have seen it. It's been going around a lot in the last like 24, 48 hours. And he says something really interesting. And he said it for a long time. He said, the one thing that you're going to have to accept, right, when you get involved in a network marketing company, is this idea of some social reputation that's going to be affected. And it's typically affected by people who don't really know what they're talking about. And you're going to have to be okay with that. You have to accept that is part of the deal. You have to accept what I'm going to share with you right now. You have to be okay with the fact that some people are not only not going to get it, they're not going to get behind it, and they might even try to distract you, dissuade you, or discourage you from doing this. Now, let me ask you all a question. You're all freaking adults on here. Me too. Can you accept that? Yes or no? Is your vision for what ACN is for you bigger than the inevitable obstacles that are going to come your way? That's a decision that you have to figure out. Is your vision bigger than the obstacles that are coming your way? And if your vision is not bigger than the obstacles that are coming your way, I will tell you, you have a very small chance of succeeding, in my opinion. If your vision is smaller than the obstacles that are coming your way, you will have a very small chance to succeed. If your vision is bigger than the obstacles that are coming your way, I'm telling you, you're going to the top if, in fact, you do the work. Notice that second part. The second part's pretty important. If in fact you do the work, but understand your vision has to be bigger than the obstacles that are coming your way. So check this out. You guys know how like recently I like showing you guys clips. I like showing you guys like quick videos that illustrate a point that I'm trying to make. I've done a bunch of movie clips a few months ago. Recently, it's been like a lot of sports people and coaches. And I typically do it at the end of the call, right? I typically like to show those things to you guys at the end of the call because I want you to leave with an impression of someone that might be a public figure that sort of sticks in your head. There's a reason behind what I say, how I say it, and what I do. So I'm going to switch that up a little bit today. So normally I would give you one of these little clips, like the last 2 weeks were Coach Saban. By the way, anybody remember those? Like, you guys, those are legit. Like, I'm telling you right now, that is legit. I've had so many people ask me to send them that clip, right? Right. Poor to average, average to good, good to excellent, excellent to elite, right? So there you go. And that's where we're trying to work towards. We're trying to get to elite. So I was thinking about it today before getting on the call. I actually sent a text to one of the RVPs in Ohio. I think she just jumped on, Nicole Woods, love her. And I was going through my notes about today, and Al's right. You guys know how I feel about taking notes. That if you commit this thing to memory, that's a challenge. Doesn't mean you shouldn't be out there. Look at Al. He's got like it. Look. You can choose to take notes or not take notes, but if you're trying to commit ACN to memory, I'm telling you, that's not going to school, in my opinion. So 2 weeks ago, we talked about showtime. He mentioned that. And when I said showtime, it is show the business. It is time to show the business. Who are you showing the business to? And then last week we talked about the sun, and that was right out of church, where ACN is this constant. And the point of it is the sun is constant and ACN is constant. But how come we don't see the sun? It's like, where'd the sun go? The sun didn't go anywhere. The sun's still there. It's just blocked by the clouds. And the clouds are all those things that we talked about, your choices, your abilities, your decisions. Something's blocking you from getting to the sun. Something's blocking you. And there's going to be turbulence as you go through the clouds and you're flying. You guys remember all that. The turbulence, people don't show up to a meeting. People tell you it doesn't work. People, they join and they quit. All those things that happen, turbulence. But you have to get through those things. ACN is still there. Sun's still there. You just don't see it because you're getting caught up in all that stuff. Then you land the plane back on the ground and you never got through. You got to get through that. But then I thought about it today and I'm like, what am I not doing? What am I not getting across to them? And I'm wondering if what I'm not getting across is the simplicity of what you all need to do. So I asked you guys all last week. I gave you a very specific task. Everybody on this call, I gave a very specific task. Anybody remember what it is? David Inlow is got it. 20 what? I said 20 what? Do 20 what? Peak. 20 people. 20 people in a week. You guys realize that comes out to just over 2 a day? And if it takes 60 seconds to peak someone, that's 2 minutes of ACN work a day. Now, permission to be very direct with everybody. I know Al's going to give me, didn't even let me finish. He loves it. So okay, you guys, check it out. Here's my very direct question to you as someone who wants to see you win. If it takes about a minute to peak someone, and we were looking for 20 peaks in a 7-day period, that comes out to about 2 minutes of work per day. Is there anybody on this call that peaked 20 people last week? 20, legitimately. Sharian, appreciate it. Sharian, I got 1. Paul M, so I got 2. Mr. Thomas, doesn't surprise me at all. That's 3. All right, you guys, I want to tell you about this. Oh, we have Regional Vice President Ryan Ruiz on today too. That's awesome. So I want you guys to think about this. Nobody's in any trouble, but I want you to think about this. There are 65 people. By the way, I know Ryan peaked 20 people, by the way. He's got a big meeting tonight or he had meetings in Laredo, guys kicking butt. So I'm going to say three people out of 65 peaked 20 people. Now, if you're running an organization, because we have to have a very black and white conversation about this. If you're running an organization, how do you feel about the production of your team? Yeah. Now, by the way, sometimes you need someone to come in. I need someone to come in. So listen up. Someone has to come in and slap us around a little bit. Do you guys agree? Like we have to shake the cobwebs out. We have to be like, look, man, what are we doing? So I'm thinking about it and going, why is that not happening? Now, by the way, for you guys know, I am a glass half full person. I was hoping and betting that there would be more than 3 out of 65 that peaked 20 people. But it should not be a surprise that your business is in the position that it's in if you're not doing that. It takes a minute to peak someone. And if we peak an average of 2 people a day, 2.5 people a day, that's going to get you 20 peaks. What we're really saying is our reason why we're doing this is not worth 2 minutes a day. That's not fair. That's not fair. So Greg Provenzano says this. Lance Kelly raised his hand. Okay, so maybe we have a fourth. That's cool. So now check this out. Here's what Greg Provenzano has said for years and years and years. Sam Foster. Okay, we got 4 or 5. All right, cool. So check this out. Watch this. Greg said that you need to do one of 2 things. You need to elevate your activity or modify your dreams. That's it. Please do not have the dreams of going RVP and the things that can come along with a great RVP organization if you're not peaking a person a day. That's not fair. That's a lottery ticket. That's not what ACN is. ACN is not a lottery ticket. Now, you guys know what I've said, and I've said this a million times, and I'll say it every time because I know this sounds very direct and maybe even a little bit harsh, but here's what I want you to know. If your goal was to become an executive team leader in ACN and you hit the goal, I will be the first person to congratulate you, shout your name. You did what you said you were going to do. You took advantage of the timing, the comp plan, the company, and everything that we have, and you did what you set out to do. I'll be the first one to celebrate you. But do not tell me that you want to become a regional coordinator, regional director, or regional vice president, and we're not peaking a person a day. Please don't tell me that. By the way, is that a fair thing to come from a coach? Yes or no? Like, that's just not a fair conversation. If someone says to me, Dean, I peaked 30 people listen to this. I peaked 30 people this week. No one was open to a conversation. You're on your way to RVP. I peaked 30 people and not one person was open to a conversation. You're on your way to RVP, in my opinion. I'm just one guy. I know that Mr. Thomas and I think a lot alike, right? So I thought about 3 things. And I told you guys about these videos, right? I always like ending with videos. I'm going to play 2 of them for you right now, and we're not done. We're 30% into this. Some of you may have seen this before. Some of these I may have played for you before, but something struck me putting these together from 2 different athletes that you know. So I really want you to think about this. I want you to write down 3 things. I want you to write down 3 things, and here's what they are. Preparation, practice, perform. Preparation, practice, and perform. Can everybody wrap their heads around those 3 words? Preparation, practice, and perform. So here goes.
Confidence comes from preparation. So when the game's on the line, I'm not asking myself to do something that I haven't done thousands of times before. Right? And so in those moments, if it looks like I'm ice cold or not nervous, it's because I've done it thousands of times before. So it's one more time.
You understand that so few people get to the one more time? So few people get to the one more time. He said, it's not a big deal. Why? Because I've done it what? thousands of times. You guys, how many times do you think Al Thomas has peaked someone while he's out? How many times do you think he's done an impromptu presentation? How many times do you think he's invited people to events? 10, 20, or maybe thousands? So some of you are thinking right now, I haven't been in ACN long enough to do thousands. Well, guess what? You could do tens. You could have done 20s. You certainly could have done hundreds, as long as some people have been in here. Is that a true statement? Yes or no? So the reason he's not worried about it, and it's not a big deal to him, is because he's done it what? Thousands of times. Let's at least get to your hundreds. Now, you guys, you're going to start getting a thick skin, and people's responses are not going to make a difference to you. Why? Because you've done it thousands of times. So you know why people don't pique people's interest? Is because you're afraid they're going to say something you're not going to have the answer to. Then don't have the answer. Do it anyway. Get him in front of the person that you're working with and do it thousands of times. You're going to come across the right person. So that was the first one I wanted to show you. Here comes the second one. So hold on to your hats.
That's what's wrong with most of our athletes today. We don't practice to be great. We don't practice to be dominant. We practice to practice. What do you mean by that, Prime? I'm glad you asked. We practice counting the number of periods. We practice understanding how much time we got left. We practice just to get through practice. We cutting deals in practice. You go soft, I go soft. We don't practice to be dominant. When I ask you, what was your purpose of practice? You ain't got no answer for me. I'm gonna ask you, what is your purpose of practice? I don't care if you practice at work. I don't care if you practice with your relationship. I don't care if you practice in any endeavor you choose to do. What is your purpose for practice? I practiced to be the best ever. So every time I walked on that field, I had a purpose for my practice. True.
How many of you, if we're going to be really honest, agree that we get ACN, we want ACN to work, we want it to work well, we may even want it to work big, but so much of the time we go through the motions? How many of you guys agree with that? We go through the motions. We are not invested in what it is that we're doing, what we're saying, the vision we have. So here's what happens. If you have preparation, the old thing is like, you don't worry about the test when you've done the homework, right? You're not worried about the test if you've done the homework. You know what you know. Could you guys imagine someone coming up to Mr. Thomas or someone coming up to me saying ACN doesn't work? It's one of those things. Like, I don't even know what to say. Like, I'd feel bad for the person. I'd be like, who hurt you? Like the old Tony Cooper said, like, who hurt you? Get over here. Let me give you a hug. Who hurt you? We know it works, right? But you have to know that it works. And sometimes in your ACN journey, you have to borrow the belief of a leader that is in a place that you want to be. And when you do that, by the way, you can borrow Mr. Thomas's belief all day long. You can borrow my belief all day long. Hey, wait, forget me, forget Mr. Thomas. How about one of the most recent RVP promotions, Nicole Woods? How about the most recent RVP promotion, Ryan Ruiz? Borrow their belief. They saw the initials in their report change from regional director to regional vice president. But guess what they did? They prepared and they freaking practiced. And the difference is this: you can practice or you can practice with a purpose. What if I told you that your purpose could be based on a timeline? I will be a regional director before the end of this year. I will be a regional coordinator before the end of this month. I will have 100 customer points by this time. Now you have a purpose for what it is that you're doing because you put yourself out there. You set a goal that you're working towards. Now, let me ask you a question. Does preparation pay you? It does not. Does practice pay you? It does not. It comes down to the third P, which is performing. But the people who perform the best are the people who are the most prepared and they have spent the time in practice. So like Kobe said, you don't see him sweat that stuff because he's done it, what, 10 times, 20 times? Thank you. Thank you, Tracy. 1,000 times. We're more committed many times to the job that we have because of fear of loss, of losing our job because of instant gratification and money, than we are about putting ourselves out here and really learning this thing that could get us out of that if we chose to. How you doing, Mr. Harden? I see you over there. So preparation, practice. Well, now it's time to perform. And you guys, this is a big deal, because here's where the rubber meets the road. Here's, by the way, let me tell you something. When you perform, this is where your practice shows up. This is where your preparation shows up. You guys know it as well as I do. Doesn't matter what somebody's field is. I love that Deion Sanders said that. It didn't have to be sports. It could be family. It could be business. But there was a purpose to his practice. And by the way, if anybody ever saw Deion Sanders play in the NFL, if you ever saw him play, like, you can't take your eyes off the screen. Same with Kobe. 81 points in a game. Give me a break. Right? Those guys, let me ask you a question. I hope Mr. Thomas can hear me. Let me ask you a question. Do you guys think they speak the same language? Yes. Yes, they do. They speak the same language. A Kobe Bryant, the late Kobe Bryant, a Deion Sanders, do you think they speak the same language? Yes, they do. That is a language that if we can make commonplace on this call, in this Zoom with that leader, Mr. Thomas, and that becomes common, watch what happens. So we have preparation and we have practice, neither of which will pay you. It sets you up to perform, which will pay you. Am I making my point so far? All right, here comes the last one. Listen up.
Sometimes you got to know what you know. They're going to call it cockiness. They're going to call it arrogance, but you're going to call it confidence. Because I don't want my confidence to, I'm going to say something and I want you to hold on to it. All right, get your cameras ready because this is game. Do not allow my confidence to offend your insecurity. If I could get up and dance, I would dance right now. If I could get up and shout, I would shout right now. Do not allow my confidence to offend your insecurity, because I dress like I dress because I'm confident. I look like I look because he's confident. We walk like we walk because we're confident. I don't even use cologne. Now, somebody asked me, what is that you're wearing? I say, confidence. It's my natural odor. It's my natural odor. I don't have to use Dolce or whatever it is. It's my natural odor.
Come on, coach, let's do it. Because if you look good,
you feel good. And if you feel good, you play good. If you play good, they
pays good.
Did any of you get anything out of this? I mean, freaking come on. God, if you prepare well and you practice well, you're going to perform well. And if you perform well, you get paid well. You guys, I find these things to show you because I know after 2.5 years or 3 years of doing this, I'm smart enough to know that even though it's every other month or whatever, a voice can get old because you hear the same voice. And sometimes we have to train ourselves not to take those voices for granted. And I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about all the leaders on here, starting with Mr. Thomas. But I showed you guys Nick Saban the last couple of weeks so you guys could hear from somebody that I know that you know who that is. I showed you these three today, Kobe, then Deion on the field, and then Deion in front of an audience. Do not let my confidence offend your insecurity. Guess what? You guys, you know where that confidence comes from? Here goes, full circle. Guess where that confidence comes from? Anybody want to take a shot at it? A freaking shot at it? Please. Practice and preparation. Preparation and practice is what creates the confidence. And do not let my confidence offend your insecurity. You don't see an opportunity, no problem. I'm just looking for someone who does. Don't sweat it. Conversation's over. I wish you the best. But some go, I can't believe my brother said no. I can't believe my mom said no. I can't believe my dad thinks it's one of those things. Who cares? Do not let my confidence offend your insecurity. I am giving you guys total permission to prepare and practice so you are confident, so you can go out and absolutely smash this business. So here's a crazy last question, then I'm done, Mr. Thomas. Why not you? Why not you? Give me one freaking reason that I should buy that it can't be you. Give me one. By the way, don't bother. Watch this. Don't bother. Here's my stamp. Think of your reason why it can't be you. Rejected. I reject your reason. So it can be you. Will it be you? Up to you. Are you going to prepare? Are you going to practice? Are you going to do something 1,000 times so it's no big deal when it happens again? It's part of who you are. Your vision is bigger than your circumstances, so you can go out and actually pique some people's interest. Go get 10 no's today. I bet number 11 is a yes. Why do I know that? Because some people say yes. What's the proof of that? There's over 60 people on this call. Preparation, practice, perform. Can you guys do that for a week? And can we have more than 5 people peak 20 people this week? And when I ask that question next week, everybody's freaking hands go up. It takes a minute to peak someone, 2.5 peaks a day. That's 2.5 minutes of ACN peaking work in a week to give you 20 peaks if you do it every day for a week. So that's what I got, Mr. Thomas. Hope it was helpful. I am going to turn it back over to you, my friend.
Wow. 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 Oh my God, this is so good. Wow. What did he start off with? If, in fact, you do the work. Powerful. Preparation, 1,000 times. Practice. What's the purpose of your practice? Practice to be great. Man, I got a lot out of this today, sir. Be the best. Be the best ever. God, that brings back to memories. My billionaire mentors, Kenny Trout's mother always said, Kenny, you don't have to be the best, just do your very best. Folks, just do your very best. And then the performance is where the pay come from. Performance pays the most. Don't you get it? Everybody on the charts are performance. That's why they're paid the most. Something also said, sometimes you have to borrow a leader's belief until you get it yourself.